have like scientific papers on there, right?
Oh yeah, this is
Talk Origins is a great resource for especially creationism claims. One of the things that they have on there is they have this catalog of all the different possible arguments for creationism, and then they have refutations of them. So it's this like giant taxonomy of the arguments back and forth and the evidence for each one. And down at the leaves of these trees are these big, meaty scientific things written by experts, and they'll go through things one by one, and this particular is a great example.
Here's the summary conclusion, just if you don't want to bother with it. Gentry's polonium halo hypothesis for young Earth fails or is inconclusive for all tests. Gentry's entire thesis is built on a compounded set of assumptions. He's unable to demonstrate that concentric halos in mica are caused uniquely by alpha particles resulting from the decay of polonium isotopes. His samples are not from primordial pieces of the Earth's original crust, but from rocks which have been extensively reworked. Finally, his hypothesis cannot accommodate the many alternative lines of evidence that demonstrate a great age for the Earth. Gentry rationalizes any evidence which contradicts his hypothesis by proposing 3 singularities, one-time divine interventions over the past 6,000 years. Basically, in order to make everything work, God started everything 6,000 years ago and then tinkered a couple thousand years later and then tinkered again. Is kind of the way this goes. But talkorigins.org is easily the single best resource to go get real scientific information from real experts that refute the nonsensical and often laughable. I mean, this is a claim I'm not qualified to talk about. I'm not a geologist. I have no expertise in this area. And most creationists aren't either. And so this would be a case where if a creationist were here saying, well, what about polonium halos? And I'd say, oh, that's been debunked by these, real scientists, and it doesn't. I can respond to it. But the person sitting out there watching is basically seeing 2 people who don't know what the hell they're talking about. One of them saying, well, this guy says this, and the other one saying, well, this guy says this. And unless they care enough to actually go out and read what real experts have to say about what the science is on this, then they're probably just going to accept the word of whichever one they like better or whichever one agrees with whatever preconception they've got.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate truth.
And the nature of the nature of reality is that none of us can be experts on everything, and we have to rely.
Expertise requires work,
yeah.
Right? And a lot of people don't want to put that in.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot of effort to understand these arguments.
So yeah, as a non-expert, I'm going to side with the experts and say that this hypothesis from a non-geologist that doesn't appear to have support and doesn't appear to have any scholarly journals published about it or supporting it is not believable.
Right.
Oh, yeah. I agree. I just wanted to hear what you guys have to say on the subject. I know you guys don't have much time, so I'll go ahead and let you go.
Yeah, thanks, Stephen. Well, yeah, we are...
That was frightening, Matt, that you pulled that up. It's pretty scary.
Well, it would have been more scary if I knew it off the top of my head, but I can't know all that stuff off the top. We've got Ben in Oxford.
Hi.
How are you?
Hi, am I on?
You're on the air, and you've got
great.
like 3 minutes.
I'd like to ask. Obviously, the God of the Gap theory is flawed because we never knew everything, and we still don't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but how then would you? I've been asked this before. How then would you define miracles? Because miracles are. I've defined before miracles as something which can't be explained at all which can't be explained by science.
I wouldn't use that definition. There are lots of things that can't currently be explained. I would define miracle as something that clearly violates science, the understood physical reality of the way the world works. I mean, it would be a miracle if dead people got up and started walking around. I mean, long dead people crawled up out of their graves and started walking around. I'd call that a miracle. It wouldn't simply be something that's not understood. There's plenty of things that aren't understood.
But how would that, isn't it possible that could just be a result of something that we don't understand yet?
Yeah, it very well could be. And I've argued many times before that if something like that were to occur, then it would be our responsibility to investigate it, to attempt to find a naturalistic explanation for it. And our inability to doesn't mean that it is necessarily supernatural in origin, just that we haven't found a natural explanation for it. You really need to be able to eliminate all possibilities other than supernatural, and in that case, you'd almost need confirmed evidence for supernatural in order to be able to do that.
Okay. But then, so I don't understand, what kind of evidence would you say would be liable for proof of the existence of God?
Well, there are lots of things that we've come up with in the past that people would say, would be reasonably good evidence of the existence of a God. First of all, it would depend on the God. Clearly, showing up here in the room and announcing who they were, and then providing whatever demonstration of their abilities or powers, whatever it would take to convince, would be enough. I mentioned on the last Nonprofits, for example, if one of my grandfathers, both of whom have been dead for a number of years, were to walk into my room and sit down and say, I'm back for the dead, here's what's happened to me, and I've got a message for you from God, it would be hard for me to dismiss that.
Of course, yeah.
But it isn't conclusive evidence for the claim.
But how would you be able to distinguish that from an actual divine revelation, other than just hallucinations from some mold in the ceiling?
I wouldn't. It's not my responsibility to distinguish it from a divine revelation. It's the responsibility of those asserting that it is divine revelation to prove their case. And on that note, we got like 30 seconds left, so I got to let you go. I apologize,
okay.
Ben. You can call back next week. I appreciate it. We're going to Threadgills after the show's over. Any atheist or atheist-friendly persons welcome to come down and join us. You don't have to be a member to attend. There's the opening credits. There was a list of people behind the scenes who can show themselves for all the hard work that they've done. We'll be back again next week. We hope everybody enjoyed their holiday season. And next week is next year. So we'll see you then. Bye-bye.